We are live. This is Emil Fisher with a very special episode of the BCTL podcast. Kind of a collaborative effort here with the On Board with Star-Lord podcast. I've got my good friend Josh Leduc on here. How's it going, Josh?
Good, man. How are you?
We are live. This motherfucker with his loud ass shit. I make the same mistake. No, it's fine. I do the same thing all the time.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing with this fucking program is I'm trying to share this stuff and it always fucking catches up, and then we have these weird repeat audios.
Yeah, what I do is actually set it to mute on the computer, and then I can fuck around with it on the computer while I talk.
Yeah. I normally do it from my phone because most of the shit I do from my phone, my computer is literally only for streaming, and it is slow as shit otherwise. So yeah,
I'm contemplating picking up a computer for this purpose, like just for this.
Yeah, now that I've monetized my podcast, I'm probably going to upgrade some of my equipment because like everything I have gets the job done, but I'm on like a $40 mic and a probably like $60 webcam on a $200 computer. And I love it. It works. I'm all about the cheap shit and maximizing my dollar out of it. But yeah, probably time for an upgrade.
I don't know that it really matters. I feel like people are not tuning in to see our ugly faces.
You know, it's weird, man, because I mean, I've seen your numbers and I've seen my numbers, and it's really fucking weird that people actually give a shit what we say. Like last month I did like 47,000 hits on my podcast, and I know you're doing similar numbers on yours because we compare stats all the time, but it really makes zero sense to me why people care what we say.
So, I mean, I think that in your case, it's because of the fact that you legitimately have done some interesting shit. Like the brands that you've built are actually interesting, and the fact that you've built them the way you have, like, I think that Zapatero as a general concept is a super interesting thing. Like, it's a super interesting thing, and the fact that you've attached yourself to it and have built a brand off it's fantastic. In my case, it's because I got fucking dope guests. And you got some good guests too.
Yeah, I gotta say, you do a really good job of getting, like, I don't like to compliment you ever, but you do a good job of getting some pretty fucking good guests through your connections. I know you're a big fan of like the hardcore music and more of the metal scene, so you're getting a lot of musicians on and stuff like that. I've mostly been in the jiu-jitsu and combat sports community recently, but I have some cool guests coming on this week. I mean, obviously I got MMA guys like Hector Lombard and Brett Kramer coming on, but tomorrow I'm really interested because I have a doctor. He is a doctor at MacDill Air Force Base. He's in the Air Force. He's served in Afghanistan, and he's coming on, and he thinks that Corona is like a big hoax, or not a hoax, but it's not as big as everybody thinks. So I'm trying to branch out into different things. Not like, I mean, everything I do is fucking stealing from someone. So like a poor man's Joe Rogan experience, you know?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I got Stefan Keston coming on next Monday.
Yeah, he's cool. I like him. I actually subscribed to a couple of his things. And when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, I watched a lot of his videos. I just got his DVD with Taza on leg locks, and now I'm in his ClickFunnels account. So I'm getting all this fucking reminders and stuff like that. But he's a cool guy. I like him.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him. I found that from the beginning of all of this shit, he had a very different kind of standpoint and approach from a lot of people. And I know that he's not a doctor, but like he seems to approach this from a far closer perspective to doctors.
Yeah, I don't remember what his background is, but maybe he was like a first responder or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. He is? Yeah, I think that's where he's coming from. But I know he's very like, stop grappling. We need to figure this shit out first. And I mean, this whole situation is weird. We talk about it all the time. I don't think anyone knows what the fuck is going on. And I talked about it today on one of my shows. Like, we're not really going to know until a few years out when we get to do a post-mortem and look back, just like any of these other crises and stuff like that. It's not really going to be fully disclosed until 5-10 years down the line.
If that, man. If that, like, I look at, you know, and again, it's one of those things. I hate conspiracy theorists in the moment because what they're doing is they're disseminating information that is very likely false. Like, I look at the shit like that video that came out last week. It blew my mind that people were sharing it. The one, the fucking Plandemic.
Oh yeah, I saw you and Jenna go like you and my wife fucking go hard on people. You and fucking her like arguing with Nick right now. I was taking a shit before this, and I scrolled through Facebook and I saw it, and I'm like, Jenna, stop arguing on Facebook. Like, don't waste your time. Like, you of all people, you spend so much time stirring shit up on Facebook. And Jenna's like, I'm gonna stop trolling. I'm like, what the fuck? When we first started dating, like I was the one trolling people and causing problems, and now you're like. Granted, she's doing it because she believes in things. I was just doing it for fun.
Yeah, I have a mixture. I mean, this one legitimately, I think that, like I was talking about it last night with Gunther and Sean on the Gunther Shit Show, which is a weekly segment that I do on my podcast. And we were talking about it, and I guess I likened it to no touch martial arts. If George Dillman put out a goddamn leg lock DVD. I don't care how good the content is. The fact that he's George Dillman should disqualify him for ever fucking speaking on martial arts.
Yeah, I think I've really settled down in the last little while. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm just tired of fucking arguing with people.
It's menopause. It's menopause.
Yeah, probably. And maybe that explains all the bloating and shit like that. But I mean, something's happening. And I don't think it's maturity. I think it's just lack of giving a shit now, and I'm starting to I don't know, man, it's just not worth it anymore. Like, I don't bother trolling. I told you today, like, I had a fucking epiphany this morning. I need to fucking focus up a little bit more, and I don't know, it's something.
So anyways, tell me a little bit about some of the endeavors that you've embarked upon throughout this COVID-19 crisis, because I know you've been super fucking active. It's kind of interesting.
Dude, my mind, I didn't sleep well last night. My mind's so blank right now. I mean, the biggest thing is obviously the podcast. On the back end, like, I'm building a website, a subscription-based website. I got a bunch of things moving. I'm planning out a couple more events in June and July. I'm just trying to stay busy, because something about me is like I'm very routine-based. And when this thing happened, my whole routine was based around teaching classes and training and like building my students up. So I would get up, do a little bit of workout, take care of my dogs, go to the school, teach my class, hang out, work out again, kind of come home. Then I'd start working on my side hustles like tournaments, managing people, all that fun stuff. And I'd go back in, teach kids, teach my adults, come home, eat, and go to sleep. And that was my routine every day, and it made me super happy. And when this thing happened, it really fucked up my routine to the point where, like, in the first little bit, I went through a little bit of depression just because, like, I need my routine to keep myself sane, And then I had to build a new routine and start doing that. And now that we're kind of, I don't know if coming out of it's the right word, but I'm coming out of it. Like, I'm not being done. I'm done being locked down, So I'm trying to build a new routine to maximize what I'm doing so I can go back to teaching, but still keep some of the good things that I've built up during this pandemic and kind of combine them together.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know that. So you got your hands in a couple of pots. You got your On Board with Star-Lord podcast. You got your gym. You got the Nogi Nation. You manage a few athletes. You do some event production, like you go to like event, not really event production.
Oh, I totally forgot about that streaming shit. Yeah.
You do the streaming shit. And I mean, that's, you do a pretty good job of like diversifying the shit that you do. I wouldn't necessarily call it sources of income because not all of it makes money for you yet, really. But all of it makes something for you,
Yeah, and I mean, luckily throughout all this, Jenna never lost her job, so she's still got income coming in, and I was able to pivot and create more sources of income because, like you said, diversifying is really big. And throughout but even before this, I had really wanted to get to the point where at least 60% of my income was from online sources. So that way I wasn't tied down anywhere if I didn't want to be. And I don't know where it comes from in my life, but really in the last couple of years, I've kept telling Jenna, I want to get a fucking RV just because if I want to be able to disappear, I want to be able to disappear. And I don't know what it is that makes me want to do that, but I've always had that desire to just like pick up and go whenever the fuck I want. And especially now that I've been self-employed for a few years and doing my own thing, I cannot stand anybody telling me what to do. And I just want to have the freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. So a lot of my sources of income were online already. We both work on Rockfin. Like you said, management, some of the streaming stuff. It's all income that's coming in. And now with the podcast as well, I'd say now, I mean, with the gym closed, 100% of my income's online. But when it opens back up, I'd say I'm about 50-50 right now with my income online and in person.
Yeah, that's super, super interesting. I think that your ability to do that, especially like considering how young you are, you're 25 years old, you're just a babby. The fact that you're as young as you are doing what you're doing, the fact that you started Zapatero when you were in your early 20s.
Yeah. I started when I was 20. I wasn't even able to drink yet.
Let's talk about Zapatero. Okay. What's going on with that? What's the, do you have any plans for that? Anything coming up with that? What's going on?
Yeah, so before the pandemic, we were planning on an event that you were actually coming in, and the whole goal for Zapatero for 2020 and going forward was I kind of realized that I don't want to work with the big name guys because they're too much of pains in the asses and the prima donnas. The thing that Zapatero always did well was bring up the up and comers and give them a platform to continue to grow. And that really was what I wanted to focus in on. The first few years were great. Then I went into a little slump where everybody was doing these invitationals, and it was really hard to get people to commit to things. I had people pull out day before, day of, and stuff like that, and it really jaded me to the process. But going forward, Zapatero is going to continue to be a platform for up-and-comers to make money and kind of get a call up to the big show. I don't want to be EBI. I don't want to be Kasai. Like I found my niche because whenever those guys come here, like I've been lucky enough to work with Seth when he brings Fight to Win to Florida. I get to matchmake with him and help him out there. Same with Kasai. And pretty much anytime an event comes to Florida, I have some say in it and pull in it, and even in the Southeast in general. So that's what it's going to be. And yeah, I just want to help give these guys a little bit of an opportunity to get some shine on their name and show them how to grow into something bigger, So the next event we're doing is June 27th, I believe. It's a smaller tournament. It's going to be 16-man. I'm keeping it to Florida. I might open it up to the Southeast. I don't know, because I didn't realize how difficult it would be to get 16 guys, because I know a lot of people have been training this whole time. I might open it up to more. It just really depends. We're all in a state of like, we don't know what's going on. I'd rather not have people fly during all this, but if people want to drive down and drive into the area, I think I might allow some of that to happen. But June 27th is the next event. And then I'm working with Mike Cipriani for 4th of July weekend for a 16-woman Grand Prix. And yeah, got some things coming up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's so I've been thinking about, or I've thought about your, you kind of retracted a little bit from it. Now you're kind of getting back into it.
Yeah.
Why do you think? I feel like there was a period of time, there was like a golden age for this shit. Back when Gordon was a purple and a brown belt, and you were able to get some of these guys that are now the world killers out there competing. What do you think changed? What do you think? Do you think that the market got saturated, or what do you think actually changed that caused it to get kind of shitty?
Yeah, I do think the market's saturated at this point. Not as much. I mean, now it's not, but like leading up to this, it was saturated. We started to see a little bit of a downturn right before the Corona happened. There were more big shows, but there was less of the middle ground guys. It was like $500 tournaments in gyms. There wasn't as many Zapateros, but there was more Kasai's, Third Coast popping up. Substars tried to do their thing, and it was an epic fail. But like the consistent through this whole thing was Fight to Win. And talking to Seth through this pandemic, and kind of, I think the best thing that came out of this pandemic is the promoters are starting to talk to each other a lot more, and we're starting to kind of realize where fighter pay needs to be and just stop shitting on each other and just kind of work together a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I totally forgot your question. Sorry, I just did a fucking.
You answered it. You answered the question.
Okay.
I mean, like. Yeah, it's like when you had me on and I would ramble and it would answer the question, but it would also give a bunch of extra information. Yeah. We're good.
This is what's going to happen.
We are good.
And I'm totally sober, which is odd.
I mean, we should probably take care of that for you. Regardless, I just got done working. I'm actually literally in my office right now.
Yeah, I know. I can tell by the awful fucking wallpaper behind you.
The awful. the alpha wall, and the wallpaper isn't bad, but I love the fucking stupid painting thing. It's literally hanging off a nail, like that. The frame, it's just stupid looking. Anyways, so bringing Zapatero back, I know you were talking about doing, you were talking about doing more catch wrestling in Zapatero, and you were talking about kind of doing regular Grand Prix style tournaments.
Yeah, and that's still the plan.
What's that?
That's still the plan.
What was the push in that direction? Like, what has changed for you?
I think I have the right people around me now, because when I started Zapatero, not to like shit on anybody, but it was my vision, but I was also like 20 years old. I didn't have a lot of financial stability, and I was partnered up with some people who were really invested for the first few, and then decided to just try to get like the money and leave me with the work, So it made me quickly jaded, and the fact that the market became saturated and there was tournaments every weekend that were doing the same format with the buy-in. But it made me just kind of aware that, like anything else in business, you kind of just need to realize when to pull back and let things kind of ride out, and when to come back into it, So I took like a year hiatus, and I just started to get the itch again, I started to get the itch, and then we did the Battle for the Axe, and that was a lot of fun, okay? And when I realized I was having fun with it, that made me realize, okay, I can keep doing this. Like, as long as I'm not losing money on it, which luckily for my last few events, and probably the last 10 events, I haven't really lost any money. I'm cool doing it as a service to the sport. And that's something that really hit home to me, because I've been really lucky to have a great mentor in my coach, Bill, and he's always been giving back to the sport and the people who deserve it. And it made me realize that this may not be the moneymaker, but if it wasn't for Zapatero, it wouldn't have taken my brand and me to the point where I'm at now. I created a lot of connections from it, and that's something I'm going to continue to do by doing this. And now it's just to kind of give back to the athletes. And as far as the catch wrestling portion of it, I mean, dude, I'm a catch guy. You're a catch guy. We have catch lineages. You see what happens in that group. There's a bunch of fucking morons. So if I can steer the sport in a direction that I think is the right direction, and give the people who want to compete a platform, not the fucking fans in there that are like, oh, it's not real catch wrestling, he pulled guard. Like, no, it fucking is what it is. Like, if you want to compete in catch rules, you're more than welcome to come to my show and compete in it, and everyone else can shut the fuck up, and I'm going to lead the way. And the whole reason I started Zapatero was off the quote by Gandhi: be the change you want to see in the world, okay? And at the time, I watched the finishers and I watched Nuwaza Challenge. I'm like, you know what? Florida needs something like this. So I made it. When I realized that Florida was getting saturated and had stuff, I was like, I'm going to pull back. So if catch wrestling needs this, I'm going to go ahead and do it, So don't fucking sit around and wait for someone else to do it. Do it yourself.
For sure, man. For sure. It's funny. Yesterday when I had Eric Paulson on the podcast, he was talking about when he went and trained at when in Japan with Billy Robinson, where Billy Robinson was teaching.
Yeah.
And he was saying that, he was rolling with a guy there, and the guy was amazing standing up. He couldn't get the guy to the ground. So he pulled guard, swept him, and then did his thing from the top from there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, he pulled guard. Oh no.
Yeah, dude. And your coach Sean says it. He now believes pulling guard is catch wrestling. And think about it. The name, catch as catch can. Catch it when you can, okay? It's just a fucking rule set, If everybody's all worried about lineage, you see that shit about Drysdale coming out saying that there wasn't a real connection to Mitsumaeda in the Fada lineage today?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Okay, so an article came out, and it was on, I think it was on Jiu-Jitsu Times or one of the news sources, and he was saying that there was no connection to the Fadas and Maeda, and basically insinuating that they weren't legit. And I'm like, well, that's funny because they fucked up the Gracies. And if they aren't legit, and if everybody's so worried about lineage and everything, So I don't worry about the whole lineage. If it works, it works.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's certainly part of it. Although it is interesting. I mean, I feel like Drysdale in some ways has been vocal in some of the wrong ways recently.
Yeah.
Like his weird beef with Gordon, it was like, you're not going to win this beef. Like, if you're not going to compete against Gordon and beat him, there's no point in speaking up. Like, there really isn't. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk about our mutual friend Quentin and his whole thing with Craig and Gordon. I don't know if you were paying attention to that last week.
Yeah, of course it is. On my fucking podcast.
Yeah, I know it was on your podcast, but I mean, did you see that whole?
Yeah, I saw the whole Instagram feud.
What do you think?
Good for Quentin. You know, like I don't understand Gordon's train of thought, you know, and I think he's just really bored in this whole quarantine, so he's just beefing with everybody. And like you and I both really like Quentin. We love him, and we've had a lot to do with him and train with him, and I've managed him and I've helped him get on some shows and stuff like that. But Gordon's posts are 100% true. Like Quentin is hit or miss. He's either the best in the world or getting submitted by Stanley Rosa, you know? But this whole thing is good for Quentin because it's getting his name out there, you know? And even if he doesn't get the match with Craig, he's going to get bigger matches because his following is going to continue to grow, you know? And that's the thing that you and I have told him for a while is he's a very difficult match. He reminds me of Robbie D'Onofrio a lot too because they're both very difficult matches for people, but they don't have a huge following. You know, and in this world of promotion, self-promotion, and Instagram following dictating more than actual skill, you don't want to like, dude, if somebody challenged me right now to a match and I didn't know who the fuck they were and I looked them up, I'm like, oh, that guy's fucking tough. Oh, nobody knows who he is? Fuck that. I'm not even going to fucking respond to it. You know, I'm not going to give them the shine of my own audience to be like, oh, hey, let's look at this motherfucker over here.
Yeah, for sure. There's that, and then the other thing I was thinking about with all this is they're doing Quentin a favor.
Yeah.
I don't know if they intend to, but they really are, because here's the thing. A lot of people are going to see this, and they're going to be like, good job, Craig. You're advertising that Quentin had a rough roll in the gym with Lovato. Like, congratulations. Great. But at the end of the day, by posting that and by kind of being douchey about it, they're actually creating a polarizing effect where there's going to be some people that are like, you know what? Good for Quentin that he's calling out the best in the world.
Now, listen, I don't think I'm friends with Craig. And I was going to say, like, Michael's got it right. If Craig is trying to get a match with Quentin going, it's good to get that steam going. And let me say this first. I don't think Craig's being a douche at all. I think the post Craig is making is hilarious. The shit Gordon's doing is a little douchey, all right? And I love Craig. Like, Craig Jones is one of the nicest guys in the sport.
I know.
When I met him at the second Zapatero, like, I've had the honor of coaching him a couple times and stuff like that, which I don't fucking know how that fucking happened. Like, I got to coach him at EBI and Kasai. Like, there were much more qualified people, but he's always been the same from the day one. You know, now that he's this big star, it hasn't changed anything. You know, so first off, shout out to Craig. I fucking love him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think, like what Michael's saying, it is definitely possible that they understand that, and they're doing this to help build the match up a little bit, so that way they all make more money. You know, when I was backstage at Kasai, because I got to corner Quentin there and Craig at the one in Orlando, and they were talking there. Hey, there's like some level of mutual respect there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dichotomy. I guess that's the whole point that I'm making. It's that it's very likely that in some ways Craig is almost trying to quote unquote play the villain here in order to build the match.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and it all comes back to pro wrestling, and I've had this conversation with you before. You have to go with your personality. You know, Craig is not the villain type, okay? And to be fair, what?
Neither's Quentin, really.
I was going to say, neither is Quentin. Sorry, I'm about to troll the catch group a little bit. Yeah, I don't think Quentin is the villain type either, you know? But it's weird because there's almost like a natural, and I've told this to Quentin before, like until people get to know him, they don't necessarily like him, you know? And it's like you. Like until people get to know you, and I think this podcast is doing a good job of letting people understand who you really are. Like if they just see you on Instagram or on Facebook, like I fucking hated your guts when I first heard about you, you know? Like it's what fucking happens. Like you guys are both a little bit abrasive, but
you know what it is with Quentin? It's his extreme belief in himself.
yes, 100%. And you know who else has that? Elijah. And they both drive me fucking crazy because I've managed them both in the past. And it's the mentality you need to have as a high caliber athlete. But Elijah has literally gotten off the mat after getting tapped out. And he's like, fucking schedule that rematch. It's not happening again. I'll fuck him up right now. And that to me, and this is why I'm not like a high caliber athlete, is the fact that I never thought that. I'm a much more reasonable thinker, and so are you. Like you go into every match thinking you're going to lose, you know? So you and I are much more, and there's multiple ways to skin a cat, obviously, but
I haven't lost in a long time. I think you were the last person to beat me in a pro match, but
yeah, and I mean, that's a perfect example. Like you don't believe in yourself, but you still go out there and you win when you shouldn't, you know? And I don't know. There's many different ways to do it, but I definitely think you hit the nail on the head. But
yeah, look, the point that I'm making is that his self-belief relative to what he has done
rubs people the wrong way.
It indicates arrogance, but he is not an arrogant person. That's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Because how do you define arrogance? Arrogance is it's a combination of inaccurate self-appraisal and putting other people down. Quentin doesn't put anybody down ever.
Yes, 100%.
I've known him for how long, and I've never seen him put anybody down. He only lifts other people up.
Yeah, and he always says, like, these guys are good, and that's why I want to have a match with them, you know?
Right, exactly.
And it's very hard to book him, like, because he's in that weird spot where he's, like, borderline top echelon of the sport, you know? Like, he has his days where he's a world beater, and he has his days where he just – everybody does. They shit their bed. Like, that's part of being an athlete. But, yeah, he's a tough guy to book.
His inconsistency, I feel, is his downfall, because if he strings together like a few tournaments where he just goes out there and does what Quentin does, he'll be unstoppable and he'll be getting every match that he wants.
I mean, the other thing, too, is he beats guys at the wrong time. Like, he's got a couple wins over Tex. This guy he just beat at Kasai, Andre Porforio, or however the fuck you pronounce it. He's a brown belt. Yeah, he's training with Cyborg. He's really fucking good. And Quentin destroyed him. And this guy's got this guy's got way more followers on Instagram than Quentin does. He's got probably, I'll have to double check it. Last I checked, it was over 10,000 followers, you know? The kid's really fucking good, and he's got some hype behind him. And Quentin totally murdered him. So... yeah, it's very interesting. Like you said, it's the consistency factor. But I don't know. Some people are inconsistent and they still get booked for big things. Look at AJ Agazarm.
Yeah, but AJ Agazarm has a different factor to him. It's everybody wants to see him lose.
And like I've had the conversation with both you guys, you have to steer to your personality, but if you just want to get booked by being a dick, it's very easy to do that. You know, like
I don't want to do that.
I know you don't. Really want to do that. And that I wouldn't say it's beneath you, because there's literally nothing that's beneath you. But I'd say it's not your personality, you know. And that's why I said in the beginning, steer into your personality.
Yeah, I keep it real, man. I keep it real.
Yeah, and dude, there was a time where I was just fucking angry at everything, and I played the heel really fucking well. You know, now I think I'm just happier, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know. So what do you think is the next meta in competitive grappling?
Jesus Christ. All right. You got to get better questions for your guests. I know you ask this every time.
I do, man. It's a super fucking interesting. Answer it.
I know Joe Bailey said face cranks. I think that's already here, you know? For the last little while, I mean, if you ask any of my students, ever since the Wagner Joe Bays match, actually, I've been saying everything below the eyes is the neck, because I saw Wagner try to break Joe's nose, you know? So that's definitely a portion of it. I do think wrestling's coming back. Everything's cyclical, you know. I hope it doesn't turn into what was it, ADCC Brazil, where everybody was doing shitty ass wrestling. I don't want to see that, but I think wrestling is going to come back. I think leg locks, I mean, they're always going to be here, but now it's the transitions. I think it's going to get much more transitionary. And I mean, we see it with Gordon. Gordon's always on the back. The back's going to be the king, but it's finding those transitions from leg entanglements to the back. You know, it's now that we all realize we have a full, complete game, it's who can get the transitions and find the pathways to get to their preferred positions better than the other guy. You know, so me personally, I've been really working on transitioning my leg locks to guard passing to back taking and just constantly going between upper body and lower body and then, you know, getting to my dominant positions. So I think taking the back is probably going to be the big thing. So kind of building off what Joe was saying, the face cranks are already here, but back takes are coming back, you know?
Yeah, I like that question, and I like getting the answers to that question because I think it's really interesting to see the trends in the beliefs of people that are in the know.
And if I were you, I would take these things and write them down, and after the course of like 3 months, average them and see what people are saying.
You don't think I'm fucking on that shit?
I don't know. You're weird.
No, man. What I'm doing is I'm trying to build a framework here. So I know that I have a certain amount of time right now that people are stuck at home and the people I want to talk to are stuck at home. So I'm getting as many of those people on so that they see that this is a good time and that they can get some good views out of it and all that good shit.
Yeah.
And the hope is that, you know, in a couple of months, I can start bringing some of these guests back around.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about it. I know what you're doing.
It's not the short game. It's the long game. And having answers to questions like this can make for super interesting content.
The only time the short game is important is in golf.
That and sex.
Maybe for you, bro. There's a reason I got the extra pudge on me. It's a energy reserve.
There you go. But yeah, so as far as building your academy has been going until, you know, this past awfulness, what advice would you give to somebody looking to start an academy once this all starts over?
Overinvest in marketing. I feel like the biggest thing that jiu-jitsu academies don't do is spend money on marketing. And I mean, to like frame that question a little bit more for you, like I had a conversation with one of my business partners today in one of my other businesses, and she said something about, I don't give myself enough credit. And she gave me a really good point. The fact that most businesses don't see a profit in at least 2 years, and most of them go 5 years. I had my gym, and within the first 2 months, we were profitable, you know, and that has a lot to do with me being in the area for so many years, but also the fact that from the beginning, I invested in a really good website and I was spending money on Google ads and Facebook ads from the beginning. I really think that's the biggest thing because a lot of academies have really good retention, but they have a really hard problem with getting people in the door. And you need to find out how to get people into the door and know your numbers. How many people are coming in the door and how many are you closing on? Okay. And then at what point is your retention rate and what point are people quitting? And then you got to analyze that stuff. Honestly, most people that open an academy are fucking retarded. You know, they're just like, I want to do jiu-jitsu. I'm going to open an academy. And something I tell everybody is like, I think teaching jiu-jitsu is probably only about 40 to 50% of what running an academy is. You know, it's membership, you know, being a fucking HR person, being a fucking salesperson, being a janitor, cleaning your stuff all the fucking time. I think I spend probably at least 20% of my time cleaning. But yeah, yeah, no, I see Scully down there already. Fucking old ass geezer over here. That guy's died almost 4 times.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think people are fucking morons. Don't go in here expecting to just like, I'm going to smoke weed, teach class, come home, play Call of Duty, and teach another class. Like, once you get to the point where your academy is successful, you can do that a little bit, but you always have to be reinvesting in what you're doing. Obviously, spending a lot of time keeping up on the new school of jiu-jitsu, because I've seen plenty of academies that were massive go down to nothing because they didn't keep up on the new school. But on the other hand, look at the Valentes. They don't do anything that's new school, and they have an amazing academy that's very profitable. So there's more than one way to skin a cat, but they all have some things in common. They reinvest in themselves. They really focus in on their clientele, and their academies are always fucking very clean and like, I don't want to say organized, but they just have a fucking vibe about them, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. So you think that a major failure is not kind of engendering that sort of a vibe?
I don't know if it's the vibe. Definitely don't fuck your students, you know? Like, that's a big one. I think that's something, and at my school, I don't let people call me professor. I don't let people call me like sensei, any of that bullshit. It's like, if you want to call me something, you can call me coach. And I think coach is the biggest compliment anyone can give me. But even then, like, dude, I'm 25 years old. I'm a college dropout. I'm not a fucking professor. My name is Josh. I'm a little bit better than you at teaching how to, not you, but just like people in general. I'm a little bit better than you at bending people in half and choking people. That's why you're here. I'm going to teach you that. I want to be your friend, and I want to, build the environment that I want. I guess environment is a big thing. Luckily, I've been running academies for like the past 6 years, and probably like closer to 7 now. I started when I was 18 or 19 running academies, but yeah, dude, like, I don't know how the fuck I got into any of this shit. Like, it just fucking fell into place. Actually, I lied a lot. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I think you got to be able to kick out the shitheads too, you know, whether it's kids or adults. Like, I don't have an MMA program or advertise one because of that. I did my time teaching the MMA fighters. There's no money in it, and they're all shitheads, you know. What I'll do is take people who are in martial arts and want to make the transition to MMA, and once they prove themselves, yeah, I'll go corner them and I'll help them like get to that next level and stuff like that. But I don't view myself as an MMA coach, so that's part of it as well.
Good. So, kind of making the segue from there, do you think that you have a future in MMA, or like as an MMA coach? Do you think that maybe in the not too distant future you might expand a little bit?
I'd say I'm almost more like consulting at MMA now, because I am working with a few high level guys to like help them round out their game and stuff like that. And I think one of my strong sets is the fact that I can break down tape really well, and I get approached by a lot of people to like. I've actually broken down tape for Diego Sanchez and stuff like that. Like, when he had his fight with Mickey Gall, I was actually supposed to go out there. I had a seminar at Jordan Holy's school, and then I was supposed to fly from Houston to Albuquerque, and then there was like this giant fucking snowstorm, and Diego's kid ended up coming over and all this stuff. So like that never happened, but I broke down a lot of tape for him and did that kind of stuff. And I'm working with a couple other high level guys. One of my affiliates in Scotland, he has a guy named Ross Houston who just got signed with Bellator, and he's got some big fights coming up. He's like 8-0 or 9-0. He was the Cage Warriors welterweight champion, and I'm really excited. I can't announce who he's fighting, but like, I'm going to play a big role in that one. You'll know. I'll tell you off air, but yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. So as far as like coaching MMA at my school, I have a couple guys that if they want to do that, I'll do it for them. But I'm more into like doing small batches of like consulting for certain people, you know?
Makes sense. Do you, we got a question from Dakota Hunter. Do you see a comeback of Cash Can?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think, not in the way that you think of it, okay? I think any style, this isn't UFC 1. We can't just be one-dimensional, okay? We're going to see a comeback in a hybrid style. And to be fair, I see a lot of it already. What? To be fair, oh, good. You watched the letter, Kenny. Good for you. But yeah, I think there's a lot of it transitioning already, you know, and it's just the people. And Jake Shana gave me really good advice when I had him on the podcast. He's like, the people in the group those are fans, okay? We don't give a shit what fans think, all right? When it comes to like big decisions and like where we're taking the direction of the sport. The people who are actually out there teaching and competing and helping people like you, me, Sean, Jake, fucking Joel, fucking Josh Barnett, Paulson, Neil Mellinson, all these guys, like they're the ones that are really making the decision. So I see it transition more into a hybrid style. I would like to see competitions come up as a way to like grow it, but I don't ever see anyone being just a pure catch as catch can fighter having any success in MMA or submission grappling. It needs to be, and we talked about this with Sean when I had him on my podcast. I really believe in what Pancrase used to say. Their saying was, "We are hybrid wrestlers." That's what I try to make my people, and that's what I try to make myself.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Speaking of which, I lost my train of thought. When it comes to promoting events that are going to have catch wrestling on them, what approach do you think you're going to take?
I'm going to book the people that draw, put them in catch rules, and do it that way.
Do you think the people that draw want to do catch rules?
If you pay them the right amount of money. I mean, do you want to do catch rules?
Not particularly.
But are you going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm not going to just fucking throw money at people. Like, I'm not going to have fucking Gordon Ryan compete and catch rules or Nicky Rod. I mean, actually, Nicky's a little bit more reasonable. I might have him come in for one like that. But it's going to be a challenge. But like Jake said, if you can get someone to back and throw a $10,000 tournament together, which, I mean, I got backers and stuff like that. It's just like, do I want to put in the work to put on a $10,000 catch wrestling tournament? Probably not. We saw how it showed up in New Jersey. Like, people didn't fucking come, you know? I think the thing that I am doing well with promoting and stuff like that is I have new ways to distribute and broadcast and to monetize off of that. So will we see a $10,000 catch wrestling tournament? I think in the next year and a half, probably, as long as this Corona stuff doesn't murder us all. But as far as do you think they're going to want to, I think with the right rule set, I think it's an entertaining rule set, you know, if you do it the right way. But it's all comes down to matchups, just like anything else. If you look at jiu-jitsu, it's boring as fuck, okay? If you make the right matchups, it's not boring, you know? Like, I don't remember the last time I saw a boring match with you, you know? Actually, Khalil, that fucker.
That was a pretty funny match, though. Like, I had fun with that one.
You did, but nobody else fucking watching did.
So the idea for me was, in that case, we can either grapple, or I'm going to offer you everything you could possibly want and then brutally submit you.
Oh, I know what you were thinking, but, you know, like, is what it is. You got to have two people. That's the biggest thing when it comes to tournaments and stuff like that. It's having a good matchmaker, you know? And Seth, I got to give him so much credit. He's one of the best matchmakers ever. Like,
for sure.
Think of all the great matches they've had on Fight to Win. Think about Justin Rader versus Gary Tonin. I mean, actually, any Gary Tonin match is just going to be fucking fireworks. But he's put on some really fucking good matches because he knows how to match people up.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. One thing that I think you and I kind of share are some of our thoughts on flow grappling as the driving force of broadcasting in our sport.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to happen to change that? Or do you think it needs to change? Or what are your thoughts?
If flow grappling sticks around without another company to rival it, the sport's going to die because nobody's going to want to fucking watch it. There's a monopoly right now, and I'm not here saying get the government in to break up a monopoly. I don't fucking believe in that. Like, I'm in a free market economy kind of guy. Like, if it's a monopoly, it's because there's not another product out there right now. I believe that if you really want to grow the sport, you need more free content, okay? Whatever sport you want to grow needs free content, and putting it behind a paywall where it's $30 a month and half the shit fucking goes down anyways isn't a good look, okay? I will say my tone has changed a little bit. Like I go back and forth. At first I was like, fuck Flow Grappling. And then I was very complimentary to them. And now personally, like I hear people are in there, they still fucking hate me. And I hear it all the time. Like whenever I go on a podcast that has anyone connected to Flow Grappling, they get shit from the Flow Grappling offices for having me on because I say fuck them. I'm going to say this and clip this up and put it out there. Flow Grappling has done a lot of tremendous things for the sport. Okay. They've elevated it to a level where we could inflate the market and pay athletes more than they deserved, okay? Because Flow is going out there with certain promotions and putting on big contracts for it, okay? Yep. They've also taken advantage of a lot of promotions as well. Like, I think the biggest thing that made them pissed off of me was when I went out there, because when I had my first $10,000 tournament, they wanted to broadcast it. And they're like, we'll give you $1,000 and then we'll do $5,000 worth of marketing for it. Look at how awesome we are. And I was like, hey, go fuck yourself. And they tried to hardball me. Like I just went back through the messages between me and that fucker Ricardo Amendolia. And I looked at the emails and I actually sent it to Kit too at Jiu-Jitsu Times. And I looked at the back and forth and it was like, they were insinuating they were going to blackball the event and that some sponsors wouldn't do it because they weren't broadcasting it and shit like that. So, like, they're the biggest thing in there right now. They still do a lot of good, but there's a lot of characters in there that are very hard to get along with. And I talk to promoters all the time, and they say the same guys are very hard to get along with, okay? So for the sport to grow and for Flow to grow, there needs to be a competitor, okay? Because if you have no one pushing you, it's just like anything else. If you didn't have Joe Bays to prepare for, your leg locks wouldn't have gotten as good as they did, okay? If Flow continues to not have a competitor, they're going to stay the same and just do what they have to make money, you know? But if another company comes up and starts pushing the envelope, then everyone's going to get better. Like, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yep. I would agree with that. That is a very true and diplomatic way of saying it.
Nothing I said there was diplomatic.
I thought it was diplomatic.
I just told Ricardo Amendolia to go fuck himself.
Well, yeah, but that's.
But I mean, 90% of people would say that too.
You know, but what's interesting.
Let's go ahead and do this so they really hate me. Fuck you, Ricardo. Fuck you. How do you say? Is it Hywell or Hewell or
Howell?
Howell. Fuck you too.
But yeah, it's funny. One thing that's funny for me is I'm fairly certain. I don't know who it is, but there's somebody in there that really doesn't like me. Probably Howell, if I had to guess. Yeah. I'm blocked on that.
We keep fucking trolling him with the fucking red belt thing. Like, listen, I've been really diplomatic in the past because I do have guys that are going to compete on shows that are promoted by them. But when I found out recently that Flow doesn't fucking send out a camera crew to like do it, like it's all based on the fucking promoter and stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to fucking worry about that. Like, if they're good guys, the promoters get all the say. They're just getting a check from fucking Flow. Like, is what it is, you know? But yeah, listen, dude, you're still on fucking Fight to Win all the time when they're running events and they're on Flow. But there's a plenty more events out there now that are going with UFC Fight Pass and just streaming shit themselves. So, like, yes, it helped.
It was interesting to me when I realized that they had blocked me on Facebook. Like I never fucking interacted with them, and then I go in to like look at the comments on one of the old highlights from one of my matches a long time ago, and I see that I can't comment. I'm like, no shit, they blocked me. They fucking blocked me.
Yeah, dude, I'm surprised you're blocked and I'm not. So I mean, I don't know.
It's because I'm a bigger asshole than you. I'm telling you.
You know what's hilarious is Kasai has me blocked, but I'm good friends with Hollis, and I help him match make the card because when they did the Craig Jones versus Paul Harris match, I made a comment on one of their Instagram posts about how Paul Harris is all juiced up or something, and it got like 100 likes, and they just fucking blocked me on Instagram. So
I got the truth.
I know I need to reach out to Hollis and see if he can unblock me from Kasai because whenever I'm looking for their marketing shit, I have to go to one of my other accounts.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, the sport has a lot of politics, and like I've been talking to. And Ryan said it very publicly, like he's new into the promoting game and like he didn't realize how much politics there were in the sport. And I've really been kind of keeping to myself the last probably year and a half, 2 years with this kind of stuff. So I haven't gone out and just like shit on anyone anymore because it's just not fucking worth it. But when you get me riled up, I'll say some shit. But
it's one of those things. Like, I'm so bad at politics that even when I'm trying, I fail. Like, it's just the truth. Like, I'm so fucking bad at people pleasing.
well, it's because you and I just don't give a shit, like, and I think this is why we get along. Is like if we think something's bad, we're gonna say it, and
Yeah.
like everybody gives me all these fucking props for like calling on Marcel. It's like, no, if you're raping people and if you're supporting rapists, go fuck yourself, Like if it's against my moral compass, I'm gonna say that. I'm not.
What are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
Marcel.
Oh, Marcel. I heard Marcelo, and I was like, what?
No. But like, dude, when it comes down to it, like, I'm not a fucking good person. I'm a piece of shit trying to be a little bit less of a piece of shit, Like, I really believe everybody's a piece of shit, and it's the people that would realize it and are trying to do a little bit better that turn into okay people. But like, I don't know, man. It's just fucking weird. I can't please anyone unless I want to. I mean, even if I want to, I can't fucking please them. They're gonna like me or they're not,
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, the reality is that, it's funny because in the Cleveland area, I've been banned from 8 different academies.
Yep.
And what was funny was like the first 3 that I was banned from, I was still a white belt, and I was trying so hard to like people please and be nice, and like I was trying so hard to to do what I could to help my coach. Like the last coach that I had, I found sponsors for him and shit. He was a fucking, I think he was a 4-stripe brown belt and then a black belt when I was there. And he didn't have any sponsors, and he didn't have any fucking, like, he had ratty gear and shit. And I was like, dude, I'll bet that if I write a form letter and send out a bunch of form letters for you, we can get you sponsored. I got him sponsored. And then like 3 months later, he kicks me out because people were whining about me rolling quote unquote too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe in, like, I don't know if it's karma or something, but like if I just keep doing the shit that I do, and if I can lay down at night and sleep because of the actions I did that day, I'm happy, and shit'll fucking come back, and I think it has. I think all the shit I took in the first 2-3 years of running Zapatero and starting my own academies and all this shit, like, it's all come back to me now. Not that I'm by no means a fucking millionaire, but I'm blessed every day to be able to get up and make a living doing what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about. Some days are better than others, but I don't have a boss except for my wife, and I don't fucking take shit from anyone. I get to do what I want, and I get to really just pursue my interests, and I don't know many people that get to do that. And the fact that I don't have to, I love me some Hightower. The fact that I don't have to like really, I can't imagine people that go to a job every day, clock in, hate their lives, and kiss their boss's ass. And like, I did it for a little while. I can't ever see myself doing it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I worked for AIG for a while and had that experience, and it was funny because like the politics was similar there, and I was one of their top performers, and they fired me because they didn't like me.
Now, listen, Emil, let's look at the patterns here. You get fired and kicked out of a lot of places. Do you ever think it's just you?
Of course, I know it's true. I'm sure that there's something I'm doing, and yet, when I finally find whatever niche I've got, it works out great.
Yeah, and that's the thing, dude. It just wasn't a good fit, like Hightower said.
I'm not bitter.
I know you're not. I know you're not. I hang out with you enough to know. Like Hightower said, you're a good dude. And when I first met you, I thought you were a weirdo. But after our match and met you in person, I realized you were a good dude. Before that, you came off like a piece of shit online and stuff like that. But when you find the right group of people, it doesn't matter. It's just all about finding. Everyone needs to find their group, And I think, luckily, we've created our own group. Like, we have a good group of people that we surround ourselves with, even though we're across the fucking country. But like Rogan talks about it a lot with the podcast and stuff like that. It's almost like they created their own network without being an actual network, And that's what we've started to do with the promoters, with the athletes, just the good people, Like, we're making our own fucking little clique.
Yeah, but I think that long term, the question becomes, how do we continue to build off of that in a positive direction?
Listen, it's a time thing. I was talking to Jenna about it today. Like, I finally, because I don't do a good job of realizing what I've accomplished and what I've done, because I have a very negative mindset, and I'm sure you do as well, where like as a competitor and all that stuff, I was always like, no, I'm a pussy. I need to fucking work harder. I need to be less of a piece of shit. I need to kill the inner bitch. I'm never satisfied, which is good to a point, But when I look back, I'm like, man, 3.5 years ago, I fucking was teaching my first few seminars, doing my first few like super fights. Nobody knew who the fuck I was. Not that anyone really knows who I am now, but like I didn't have anything carved out into this sport, And now I can pretty much go to any town, put a post out, be like, hey, who wants a seminar at the gym? And at least 20 people will show up, except for Denver, because that was fucking a shit show. But those fucking stoners up there.
The mixture of stoners and
being on the same fucking day, and it was super short notice. Yeah, it was just. But the point I'm saying is like 3 years is a relatively short period of time. So if we keep doing what we're doing and working with the good people and growing the sport how we can over the course of the next 5-10 years, imagine where the fuck we're gonna be. Like imagine if we just did podcasts for the next 5 years. Like at the peak, I think we had 20 people fucking watching it. I don't know how many people are going to watch after it, but like these shows will do pretty good numbers. But 5 years from now, it's going to be exponentially higher just because if you have a passion for it and if you have that consistency, it's almost impossible to fucking fail.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy doing these because it's like, it's a thing that I feel like we're putting something positive out into the world when there's so much negativity.
Yeah, 100%. And if we're focused on the positivity, that negativity kind of fades away. Like, I think it was a Jim Carrey quote. He said something about like when he was young, he saw his dad had like the chance of being like a promising comedian, but he chose to take a safe job. And then a few years later, they fired him, So it's like he realized at that point that you could fail at something you're not passionate about. Why not take a chance and do something you are passionate about? And if you fail, then you were doing something you were passionate about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird. Life's weird. Big world, lots of smells.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as the Rona doesn't kill us all,
I don't think the Rona is going to kill us all. We're going to all be fucking fine. Like, I don't know. I'm really interested to talk to these doctors and stuff like that because I just got a text from one of my guys saying he's got someone who has like an opposing view of this doctor that I've coming on Wednesday, and I'll probably have him on next week. So, like, I think that's something people really now more than ever need to do is like look at opposing views of their own. Like, people talk about getting in these echo chambers on social media and stuff like that. Like, that's really something you have to worry about because especially now when we're all polarized and on different sides, like I'm constantly trying to look at different people's point of views so we can kind of get a bigger view of everything,
Yeah, that's a thing. And the other thing is being very careful about how we process the information that's available because so much of the information that's available is useless and garbage. Like I see so much trash on social media on a daily basis. I can't help myself but troll it,
Yeah, and I mean, I at a certain point, I do think that's almost like a community service in a weird way because if you're not, I don't know, just like I think Aguzi and I talked about it, like it seems like people don't know how to fucking cite their sources anymore or check anything, like I'm sure you had it too, but like I remember growing up and going through school, we all had to do a fucking bibliography, and if you didn't have a fucking bibliography, like you got an F on your paper. And now we just have like the fact that you and I can do podcasts and talk about whatever we want is just what's wrong with the fucking world, Like
it really is.
Like it's gorgeous because
kind of the worst.
Yeah,
kind of the worst.
Kind of the worst. Like it's gorgeous.
I mean, sitting here, you see my shirt?
Is it Vermin Supreme? Fucking awesome. We need him more now than ever. But if if we can like, and granted, it's all First Amendment rights, but if we can reach as many people as we are with our stupid ass shit, like, why not? Like, why can't these lefties and righty extremists and all that shit do the same thing? And they fucking are.
Well, the worst part about it all, to me, is that it's come to this when it comes to the political situation. Like, it's, you know, anybody that thinks that either candidate is a good choice right now is what's wrong with the fucking world.
What? You're telling me two guys in their 70s with sexual assault allegations aren't going to be the best leaders of the free world? What, Emil? Are you serious?
Oh my God.
Who would have thought?
Holy shit, dude. Fucking see if Elon Musk wants the job. Jesus Christ.
Listen, my hope in humanity really is in like the Elon Musks of the world. Like, everybody gives him shit. Like, and Bill Gates is getting a lot of shit now too. Like, I'm all for like questioning authority and big businesses and stuff like that. But when they're doing things that are good for the world, like, you have to give them some props, you know? Mm-hmm. And Elon has his own opinions, especially when it comes to like the pandemic and stuff like that. But dude, he's fucking trying to build an underground highway for fucking LA. He tried to take a sub to rescue the fucking people in that fucking cave in Thailand. And like, he's doing a lot of good, you know, like, he's just human like the rest of us. We're all going to fuck up. But like, if the intentions are good, like, that takes my respect.
I don't know what Elon's intentions are. Anybody who's that smart and that successful is very likely a sociopath.
Oh, I'm sure.
However, I have a feeling that as long as he doesn't go the fucking route of like supervillain, he's always going to put good out into the world. And I don't think he's gone that route.
But wouldn't he be a fucking great supervillain though?
He would be. He would be. Every time I see him speak, I'm like, what's that accent, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that accent?
I got to go back and watch that podcast, the most recent Rogan podcast. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. I've kind of been
so weird, dude. It's so fucking weird.
I've kind of been like sequestering myself from like just media in general. Like, I remember the last time I watched the news when this whole thing started. I was constantly like not watching the news, but every day I'd check on Google for like fucking updates on the corona stuff. Now I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't really listen to podcasts. I think I'm just too busy creating at this point now to like sit down and listen for 3 hours. But I'm gonna have to make my way through that, especially since I'm going up to Georgia the next couple days.
You know who Elon looks like?
Who?
So, did you ever see that? It was a TV show, Hannibal or whatever. It was about Hannibal Lecter.
No.
Anyway, there's a TV show about Hannibal Lecter, and it was basically like if I recall correctly, it was that, you know, he was a therapist and he was kind of treating his the cop that was hunting him type of situation.
Okay.
So in the show, there's the actor that plays him looks and sounds Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen?
Yes. But the way Mads looks in the show looks very similar, and like the way his mannerisms and his facial expressions, he is Elon Musk. He's playing Elon Musk in this show.
He kind of reminds me a little bit. Oh fuck, who's the German guy? Werner? No, I'm thinking Werner von Braun, but the fucking actor. He's now on what's that? It's like a Patreon that is teaching people different skills. He's an award-winning either director or screenwriter. Werner Herzog. He's the one with the weird German accent that's like super creepy, right?
Yeah.
A weirder version of that, just less German. It's like a German fucking. What is he? What is he? Swedish or like from?
He's South African. He's South African.
He's South African.
His accent is so faint.
Yeah.
And it goes back and forth between this kind of like California accent and this South African accent.
Like, you also got to think how much of that is the fucking autism too.
You think he's autistic?
Oh, he's definitely on the spectrum. You know, like you can't be that smart and not on the spectrum.
I don't know. There's some people that I've met that are that smart and I don't think are on the spectrum.
I really believe that if you are like that numbers heavy, like, and not in a bad way, like you just have autistic tendencies, you know. But I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. Hey, so I gotta ask you this. I know you. Did you vote? Do you think Andy Kaufman's dead?
Oh, I voted that I think he is.
Do you really believe that?
I don't know enough, but yeah.
I think that's my new passion project for the next little bit. Bill, and this all fucking comes back to Bill too. Like he's the greatest mentor, but he also he likes to. So
He's the Hobbes to your Calvin.
don't even fucking say that. That is not the fucking metaphor right now because I cried for like 10 minutes yesterday because I reread that fucking Reddit post of the Hobbes and Calvin thing. And
that's a theory. That's one of the theories.
Yeah, no. Like the fan one where he like handed it off to his kid right as he died, fucking made me cry. So the fact that you said that right there is fucking me up. But so anyways, he has this thing when he first starts working, and he only works for like a select number of people. He likes to kind of bring on certain people and mentor them up. And I've been lucky to be like one of the last ones. He's got another one now too, but it's like a fucking Darth Apprentice shit. But he likes to, in the beginning, teach you a bullshit move that's in like a karate movie for like a month and have you practice it and then make you watch the movie and see if you like recognize the fucking move and realize he's fucking with you. So like, that's just like to kind of set the framework of this. So when I was like actively competing a lot more and I was trying to pull the heel, he made me watch Andy Kaufman's I'm From Hollywood. And
I watched that with Alana on Friday night.
Oh, fucking amazing. And he's constantly like going back and forth. But I can never get I've known him for like probably 6-7 years now, and I still can't get a straight read on him when he's trying to fuck with me. You know, like he's so even keeled that he'll say something and make it sound 100% like fact, even though you know it's false, you still want to believe him. And I called him up today on my way back from my workout. I was like, do you think Andy Kaufman's dead? And he started going through this full like spin and just like taking me through a web of stories. But I don't know why it popped in my head today, but I'm gonna do something creative here and like mini documentary style and get people's thoughts and the facts and go from there. Because I don't know, man. I don't know if he's dead or not. He's his brother and fucking his best friend and writer said that he talked about it and he said he would, after 30 years, reveal himself. But if he is actually faking his own death and he's done it for 30 years, do you really think he would come back out?
Andy Kaufman died in the late 80s,
1984.
Right? Okay, so then it's been more than 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you faked your own death and you said to someone that after 30 years you were going to reveal yourself, after 30 years is a long fucking time. Dude, I'm not even 30 years old. You know how much changing you can do in 30 years? Like, he could still be alive and just decided not to fucking come out because he likes his fucking life now. But I don't know, dude. There's theories.
I think he's dead, man.
What?
I think he's dead.
You know, there's people that disappear now with all this technology. You realize how easy it would be to disappear in 1984?
Oh, super easy.
And here's the other thing. He might have disappeared and faked his own death, but died in the past 30 years, you know?
That's a possibility, but there's a death certificate. Like,
yeah, you know how easy it is to fake a death certificate?
I guess.
Especially in 1984 when you're motherfucking Andy Kaufman.
I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a thing. I personally, the more I see of Andy Kaufman, because it's funny, Alana and I recently started watching the show Taxi.
Yeah.
On Hulu.
Uh-huh.
And man, I feel like without even realizing, I've been compared to him before.
Yeah, dude, you are the jiu-jitsu Andy Kaufman.
Dude, holy shit.
Especially in the voice.
Yeah.
Like
that, I can do, like, when I do I actually have like a little bit that I do sometimes, especially because I work with people that are Eastern European.
Okay.
I call it the uncouth Eastern European.
Oh, great.
and I'll rant in like a mixture of gibberish and English. I had never seen Andy Kaufman before. Like I never seen Taxi before, but I started doing this thing, and I'd like, I'd call the guy up, start ranting to him, and he'd be like, "Dude, fucking talk, just say what you're trying to say." Like it'll be work related shit. I'd just be like, "Oh, come on, I can't broke machine. It's you say it's broken. It's like shit like that."
Yeah, like I didn't really get much into his like Hollywood stuff. I was more into the pro wrestling, like his feud with Jerry Lawler and stuff like that. That was really fascinated me. Like, I could pin women twice your size. I am the world intergender champion. Like, dude, like he is the ultimate troll, and like obviously a huge prankster. So like, if anybody could have pulled it off, it was him. Now, listen, if he's working for the CIA, I wouldn't be surprised.
Doing what?
That's above your pay grade.
doing what? Like working. I feel like it's beneath. That would be beneath him.
Nothing is beneath Andy Kaufman.
I mean, the women that he pinned.
Do you know? That's good. Yeah, the women he pinned. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, Emil, you got any more topics? Because I feel like there's so much shit we could fucking talk about. You said you had shit planned.
Yeah, I know. I got a bunch of shit to do. But if you want to talk about more shit, we can talk about more shit.
No, I was talking like more topics to fucking talk about. Because like I got nowhere to fucking be. Like I don't want to run this too long on you, but like I feel like there is. You know what? I'm gonna rant for a little bit here for you, and then you can play off it. So I've really realized in the last like 6 months. Actually, more and really on this car ride home, like I've always admired the people that have interesting lives and are in multiple facets, And I think, and people keep asking me too. I got asked again today if I was going to start competing again, and they're all like, "Oh, you're definitely going to start competing again." There's so much more to life than just fucking jiu-jitsu, And I've been really lucky to do a lot of really cool shit, and a lot of it did happen because of the sport. But now that I'm getting a little bit more of a following, I'm really going to start trying to branch out into a bunch of different, like, not so much disciplines, but factors in society. Like I'm really getting into firearms now. I'm spending a lot of time doing that. I'll probably start doing some firearms competitions. I'm doing a lot more creating. I'm doing a lot more business, but like someone today just talked to me about like doing like a week-long dog training thing in Ohio. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that shit. Like I want to live a life that is just so fucking broad that I'll have experiences that I could talk about forever,
You should talk to about that kind of experience or that kind of existence. As much as I hate to say this, John Gunther.
Yeah, and like, dude, like he's a fucking weirdo, but like he's definitely had a life that you like. I want to be able to write like fucking 5 books about my life, and I definitely think, dude, all the shit I've done in the last fucking 5 years alone, I could write a book on. Like, imagine another, hopefully 60 years of living, And I mean, science says maybe we could live longer than that, but let's be honest, we know how I abuse my body. But yeah, dude, like. There's just so much fucking shit to do in life, and Gunther's done a lot between fighting and living out of his fucking van and working on alpaca farms and shit like that. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you interviewed Joel Bain, right?
Yeah.
He got into like some of his stories wrestling for the Air Force and stuff like that.
We didn't really talk that much about that.
Okay, well, like just Sean and Joel, like these guys that can be super high level athletes, badasses in the fucking military, but especially Sean, like the conversations I had with him when he's down here and we drove back across Florida together, like being a complete human being is so much more important to me now than like being the best jiu-jitsu athlete or the best jiu-jitsu coach. Like I'm going to continue coaching and I have a passion for it. And I'm very good at it. And I feel like I provide a different perspective than most people, but I am legit scared now of becoming so one-dimensional in life that I can't have a conversation about something other than jiu-jitsu, you know?
Yeah, it's tough, but on the same token, I almost feel like I'd rather be a master of one trade than a jack of all.
I would rather be a jack of all trades, you know, because like, and I mean, to each their own. Some people think that black belt is a mastery. Like, I mean, I don't think there's
It's not. It's not.
it's not at all. I don't think there's ever mastery in this art. And you could make the argument that there's never mastery in anything in life, you know? Like, we have a short period of time on this earth to do what we want and make a difference. And the people who, like, I think of Gordon Ryan as a perfect example. Like, I hope as he gets older, and I really thought he realized it when he did his fake retirement. He's like, I just drove across the country. There's so much more to life than jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. It's sad to see what the fuck he's doing now, you know, because think of just how much of a selfish existence it is working to beat somebody else in a fucking rule set that nobody cares about to make money that's based off of nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he's positively impacting people and he's got a huge reach, but like, think of the fucking good he could do with his 300,000 followers on Twitter or on Instagram if he just focused on growing the fucking world and shit like that, you know? Like, it's
so here's my thing with Gordon, and here's just from having watched him, and I think that I've been watching him for a little bit less time than you, but since he was a purple belt.
Yeah.
I've been watching him since he was a purple belt, and I think that Gordon is doing the best that Gordon can do.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm not trying to like shit on him.
No, but I'll take it a step further. I think that Gordon has built something for himself at a very young age. I mean, he's younger than you, isn't he? He's like 24.
Yeah, he's a year younger than me.
Dude, I mean, I feel like you've grown a lot in the last year. I feel like up until 30 is still very much of a developmental phase for young men.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially a young man like Gordon, in Gordon's situation, dealing with the stuff that Gordon's dealing with. I feel like for Gordon, being able to buy his father a car,
that was huge.
Shit like that, I feel like that for him is the pinnacle of existence. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, that's truly Gordon being the best Gordon that he can be.
Yeah. And isn't that the fucking
that's I can tell you that. Like, I'm not, again, it's not me shit talking. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it's the best he can be. No, like, that's fucking amazing.
Oh, it is 100% amazing. But I think the other thing too is, like, we look at combat sports athletes and you see them ride this wave. And once they get to that crest, it's all downhill after that. And if you look at the Mark Colemans of the world, the guys from that era, what are they? What are they left with? You know, the money goes away and you're left with a broken body and usually like family that's not around because you had to neglect them to become the best in the world, drug addiction, alcohol abuse, all this stuff, because it takes a toll on your body, you know? And I think Laborio said it too. Like, what's the healthiest way to become an elite level athlete? It's like, there is no healthy way. Like, you're a fucking psycho if you want to become an elite level athlete, and it's going to break you, you know? So I don't know. I'm in a fucking weird phase of my life. So I'm like going through a quarter life crisis right now. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's fucking, it's a weird thing to think about because, like, innately everything we do is fucking selfish, but yeah, it's even more so now in combat sports, you know?
Yeah, but I think that there are ways to, I don't think you can be elite, but I think you can be high level and enjoy yourself and like really get a lot out of it. I feel like I've done a decent job of it. You know, like I feel like I've gotten to, you know, create friendships, build relationships, all that good shit. You know, like I can't complain. I feel like if you know, and I don't want to, but like if I died tomorrow, I could, you know, I'd be content with the things I've done thus far. Like obviously there's always more to do, but like as long as I'm doing my best every day to treat other people as well as I can, trying to be 1% less of a piece of shit every day, what are you gonna do? Like you do the best you can.
With the
And
time
then
you got. Yeah, that's true. But like the other man, I think my match with you was the last one where I thought this way too. When I was fighting and when I was competing a lot, I used to, at least for a handful of them, I had the willingness to like, I'm okay dying out there, you know? And that's like a hyperbole to some, but like I really got into Enshin Inoue and the whole like principle of Yamato Tamashi when I was fighting and stuff like that. Like I would fucking say goodbye to my mom before the fights and shit like that, you know? And it, like obviously like fucking 20-year-old stepping in the steel cage in his fucking underwear, like, yeah, it's fucking scary to him. But now, and part of the reason I stopped competing too is like I don't have that willingness, and sooner or later you're going to run into that person, and that's when that crest happens. You start going down, and I do think you've done a really good job of doing this and still using it to grow yourself and grow your surroundings and like meet cool people, do cool things. Like, dude, we fucking had a great breakfast in fucking Denver and hung out and shit like that because we went out there. Like all the times we fucking do shit together. Like we were in fucking
shit, man.
It's crazy shit. We were at fucking the Jersey Shore. You remember the fucking waves and shit that were like flooding everything? Like
the fucking street.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. We saw Tex break fucking Tom's foot and shit like that. Like, and you broke what's his face's foot. Like it's a crazy life, but like I don't know. I feel like at some point, like it's just a vehicle to do something better, you know. And if you're not taking that vehicle to do something better, why are we even fucking doing it?
No, I mean, so here's the thing. Your objective now is your academy, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I'd say impacting people.
Exactly. What are you going to do with that academy? And then we look at like the podcasting. That's another vehicle, you know? The reality is that right now there are 6 people watching this video.
Whew.
6. But now 8. Now there's 8. Like it's been fluctuating between 6 and 15. I think the lowest we've gone is 6. The highest we've gone is like 15, 20. The point that I'm making is anybody tuned in right now, if you're having a shitty day, now you're at this moment, you're paying attention to these 2 fucking yahoos yammering on about nothing.
Pretty much.
But it's better than being stuck in your own head thinking about the negativity of the world.
Yeah, definitely true. And that is the nice thing about being like, dude, you're fucking doing this off a computer with a webcam. You know, you're not even using
my phone.
Oh, I didn't even know we could do it off the phone. I was just too stupid to figure that shit out. But yeah, like it's weird because we're in an age of technology, and I think it does come with like some innate ability, or not innate, but a responsibility, you know? And we talked about that with like spreading false information and shit like that. Like, think about this. And I think this is a good note to end on too, especially since we're coming up on the hour and 30 mark. But we all have something in our pocket that is more powerful than what got us on the moon. Okay. And we have that ability to broadcast our thoughts to an audience, no matter how big or small, but it goes to people. What are you doing with that? And what are you doing with your interactions with people throughout the day? You know, we all have an audience, and maybe just your fucking wife, maybe your kid, your fucking dog. It may be 300,000 people. It may be some millions of people. What are you doing with that? And is it something that when you fucking die, if you die tomorrow, are you okay with that? And did you have a positive impact on someone?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think that that's something we can continue doing. Regardless of the vehicles that we have available to us. You know, right now, the vehicle that we have available to us is fucking Facebook Live and Simplecast. Tomorrow we might have the gym back. we might have the ability to go out there and compete. For me, one of my favorite things is when somebody messages me, like gets in my inbox and tells me that, like, watching me compete inspired them or some shit like that. Like, for me, like, that sort of shit is what it's all about.
Yeah, 100%. That's a huge compliment too. Like, being able to be somebody's inspiration. Like, that's something that not a lot. I mean, a lot of people do get it, but like, I think we don't take. I know me personally, I don't take that with enough magnitude. Like,
Well, it means the world to me. It means the absolute fucking world to me.
Yeah, and you're better about that shit than I am. Like, and especially like responding. Like, I try to respond to people, but like, I just fucking get like, I got like 15 minutes. Like, like you'll message me and they'll be like, sometimes a couple days before I fucking get you back on like Messenger, and then you'll text me, or then like you'll catch me on Instagram or something. Like, it's just like something always fucking happens, and like, yeah, there's so many distractions in life that when somebody gives you that kind of compliment, it's very important to take the time to realize what that means,
Yeah, it's super important to like stop and smell the flowers.
Yeah, it's something I don't do well.
And that's something. So we got Thomas Stevenson here in the comments talking about, how important it is to get jiu-jitsu back.
Denver, right?
Was that? Yeah, he's in Denver. I don't think we ever met him. But regardless, like, so I don't know if I necessarily, I don't know, like, here's the thing. At this moment, they're starting to open shit back up. I'm going to wait about a week after they open my gym up to even think about going back there. Not because I don't want to train, but because if I get sick, that could have a profound, lasting impact on the lives of people around me. So I'm going to watch. I'm going to see what the fucking optic is going to be. A bunch of people get sick. I'm probably not going to go back to the gym for a while.
You're also in a much bigger facility than a lot of people.
Yeah, I have that, that benefit as well, because the reality is being in a small facility with 10 people is riskier than being in a huge facility with hundreds.
I don't know about that. I think it's easier to police in a small facility. Like, luckily for me, like, I have probably now, before this, I had like close to 100 students, and now I probably have like 50 or 60, which is still a good number. But we're going to break it up into small groups and police amongst ourselves and stuff like that when we go back to opening. But yeah, there's inherent risk with everything, It's about minimizing that risk, and it's about doing what you think's right, and everybody's perspective is different. And I'm not out here criticizing anyone. That's the biggest thing throughout all this that I realize is like, man, there's a lot of fucking critical ass people out there. And who am I to judge? Like, when I open back up, people may get sick, people may not get sick, but isn't that we all have free will, we have free will, and we have the ability to make choices. We either live, we die, and it's all about that fucking pursuit of happiness. So if grappling makes you happy and you're willing to take that risk, that's something you have to decide on your own, in my opinion,
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to it, a lot of people are going to have to make some tough decisions, even when things open back up.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions. And like we said in the beginning of the show, we're never really going to know. I mean, we may actually never know how serious or not serious this was. I do think within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be able to do a post-mortem and look back if we care to do so and have a better look on it. But, who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, Emil, I'm done.
All right, have a good night. We'll have to do this on your podcast and see what we get on there.
Yeah, I'll get you on probably next week. I'm leaving Thursday up to Georgia, and I got a couple podcasts I'm doing them up there. But next week I'll get you on here.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you later.
All right, dude. Bye.